Okay. Okay, welcome to the Park and Rec Commission meeting for March 12th. The meeting is being held hybrid. Those individuals on the commission who are present, myself, Jeannie Reed, to my left, Dave DeLoria, to my right, Rick Harriman, and we also have Cindy Sullivan present. Meeting started at 6:32 p.m. We will open with public comment. And at this present time, we have no one on Zoom and we have someone in the audience. Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Marisa Cook Overgon, 126 South Loomis Street. I'm here this evening to present the idea of the Chapter 61 protocol. But what I mean by that, Chapter 61, I'm sure it's, sorry, there's the poll in there.
You can sit down, sure.
Really brief.
You don't have to stand.
Thanks. Thank you. The Chapter 61 protocol, it's something that your commission is actually legally supposed to be privy to when somebody takes their chapter land out of that chapter and tries to sell it. There's a few different commissions and boards within town hall that by mass general law are supposed to be informed. I'm on agriculture and I was previously on conservation. In my experience, we found that when people would take their chapter lands out of that status in order to sell it, the whole premise behind it being right of first refusal is that the town gets the opportunity to see if there's money in the coffers and if there's interest in purchasing that land for recreational purposes, agricultural purposes, open space, you name it. And we've just found that in our experience, really because there is no protocol upheld here at town hall. There's a 120-day period from the time that a landowner wants to take their land out and has to notify the town. We're all supposed to be informed, but sometimes we would get informed in these different commissions at different times. When we would want to make a decision, sometimes we'd get really close to the 120 days. And even though there was money and willingness to purchase land there, we weren't able to realize anything because the timeline ran out. So a lot of other towns in Western Massachusetts and across the Commonwealth actually have a protocol in place. So I've developed a protocol so we can all kind of follow it from the select board to the town administrator, which would be our chief administrative officer. And agriculture is on there, board of assessors, your commission, conservation, planning board, we're all supposed to be notified within certain windows of time. And if no one's interested, then that's fine, but it's just doing our due diligence in terms of kind of following the steps and saying, yes, you know, my commission does have an interest in pursuing this. Can we maybe research and see if there's other interest in other boards and money there or not? And, you know, if it's a no, then it's a no, and the select board can kind of, you know, let the landowner know also before the 120-day window of time and say, you know what, there's no interest, go ahead and sell it. So it's a win-win both for the landowner, so they're not left hanging, as well as for us on the town hall side. So I've developed the draft, and the reason why I'm here tonight, I wanted to give you a little bit of a background and not just like cold email you guys, but I also wanted to learn, you know, what's the best way to get this draft in front of you? What's your communication flow on this board? Each commission kind of has a different style. Some folks like to read it in person. Other folks want to email beforehand and then deliberate it in person. So what would be the best way to get your eyes on this, and what would you guys prefer?
I would say email it as soon as you get something, and then you can talk about it at the meeting.
Okay,
I mean, that usually seems to work a little.
Yeah, we
easier.
like to pre-read, get it on the agenda. And then,
great.
yeah.
Awesome. That sounds
Did
good.
you send it to me or?
Yeah.
Yeah, send it to me or
Great. Could I have is your email accessible through the town website?
It is, yep.
Perfect. Okay,
Yep.
so if I go to the Parks and Rec page and I just.
Parks and Rec or the, it's also on the Council on Aging, because we do both. So,
Perfect, okay. So I have a draft already.
Okay.
I've gone to conservation, I've gone to ag, planning board I was at last night. Same thing, just kind of asked them what their structure is and what they prefer. So I'll email that out to you guys tomorrow or this evening. I have an AgCom meeting to go to in 20
Okay.
minutes. So yeah, and then whenever you guys see fit as a time to kind of have me come back and discuss, I'd love to have your feedback to make sure that it's something that actually makes sense and that it, you know, is gonna be logical for
Okay.
all of us.
Yeah, I know we've gotten things in the past for the chapter 61 things, but I don't know if we've gotten everything, but
Yeah, this kind of started after last year, right?
Yeah.
With the Pinell property and
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
So last year we had a few that we kind of, that came through us. last year at our meetings and we didn't really
But
add
a little
anything.
late, right?
It was late and that's probably why Marissa has developed this
Mhm,
because there
mhm.
was really no right of recourse for it.
Mm-hmm.
So when, I think when we had, when it came before us, we really didn't have a need for any of it at the time, but we also were up against the time limit based on, the property being sold or being already kind of put out there. So, we did have a couple instances of that, but we just, I think as a group, we had said, well, we weren't interested and we had notified, I think, the selectmen, so it's good to have a protocol.
Yeah,
We did.
yeah, it's just for, transparency's sake and just for everyone's kind of protection, both the landowner, so that if there is an interest, they can move on with their life and sell their property.
Mhm.
Or if there is interest on our side, we can actually reasonably get the resources lined up for, you already heard this yesterday. So great, I'll send that draft over and then when you guys see fit, if you've reviewed it, let me know. I can come back, answer any questions, any
Sure.
feedback, any edits as well. I'm open to edits. And then the idea is that this is gonna go through all the relevant boards and then end up at the select board and get feedback from them because ultimately they're the ones that decide whether we're gonna move forward with, right of first refusal or kind of move past it. So trying to make this as democratic as possible and get it logically,
Mhm.
lined up to how we all work. So,
Okay, good.
all right, so
Great.
I will email you
Good,
then.
perfect.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good for having
me.
Thank you.
What's the next meeting we're meeting at?
Ag.
Saturday. Up in the bed.
Okay, good.
Okay,
John Wally.
just, John Wally is now, present in, the Zoom meeting. He's on the commission. We also have Dave Sutton, who is also present at our meeting. So we can skip the minutes and bills. You have a meeting to go to? Oh, I thought you did. I was gonna-
No, it's, keep running to each other meetings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, we'll move on to the Wally Park business and first of order is request for T-ball.
So we had a request, a Westfield Little League. Some coaches from there reached out to us and they wanted to rehab the T-ball field. Kara kind of put them off a little and said, we need to talk to the board, like, what do you want to do? And then I think they walked it again and realized that they wouldn't have any equipment, that they would have basically a rake and it's really, because we had talked about it before and wanted David to just get, rid of it. So it's really a non-point right now because they never called us back. And so I think they walked the field again and realized that it was going to be a lot
Too
of
much,
work
overwhelming.
for two dads
Right.
to rehab.
The base is still there. We're in the building, I believe. Or could be put back if they don't mind not having a dirt infill. I mean,
I think they wanted it to look like a T-ball field for the kids and, I think they realized that it was gonna be more work than they
It's
kind of
really
wanted to
interesting
do.
because I was pulling in, I remember my 26-year-old played T-ball over there. There
Oh,
the
yeah.
volleyball court is, right? We didn't have a T-ball area, so you
Yeah.
could play T-ball.
But
I know what
Westfield's
they
pretty
want.
crowded and there's a lot
Yeah.
of Southwick kids, I guess, on this
Yeah.
particular Westfield Little League team. Or this team, so they wanted to split the group and have the Southwick kids
Probably
Playing
stay in town
Southwick,
and practice
yeah.
in town.
practice
Yeah.
in town and. But it's kind of a mute point at this point, because they
They haven't got.
They
that.
didn't get back to us and they were going to rehab it and then we wouldn't charge them a user fee if they rehabbed it. So that's kind of the deal they wanted to make. So that's why it was on there,
Got it.
but they didn't get back to us. So I'm guessing they wanted to start doing it today, like practicing today. So I think they moved on and figured there was a better use of their time to not rehab it.
To bring the 70-footer back.
Yeah, I think they realized time-wise, they didn't have enough time to do
Well,
that.
it's still open to possibility if they end up getting back to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't planning on taking the backstop down yet.
Right.
Because you never know what might happen down the road.
Yeah,
Just take the fence down for now, open up that center area for whatever, and it's there.
Sure.
If they wanted, the home plate will stay, the base is there, they'll
Mhm.
stay, and kids just wanna play on it, it's there.
Mhm.
I'm not,
Well, you
it's
never
not like
know.
we're gonna, unless you decide that's where you wanna put a pickleball court. Until then, there it is.
That's another
Yeah, might as well leave
conversation.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything out.
I'm working on that.
It's close to the electricity, there's.
Right.
I only joined this board to do a pickleball court, so let's go.
I'm
That's a
slowly
perfect
work,
spot right there.
I'm slowly
It's
working
flat.
on it.
Okay. Any other Wally Park stuff?
I mean, unless David wants to just talk about his stuff, I mean,
You
that's,
wanna get out of the
Sure.
way real quick?
I mean,
Well,
you're
you're
next.
next on the agenda
You're next,
anyway,
so
so we
you
can
can
just roll right into you.
roll it all in.
Let's see, I watched the start of the baseball game tonight. The Rams, they freaking love the field. That freaking sand is beautiful out there. I feel it is nice. Nothing going on with the 90 other than the fence is too short. Other than that, it's perfect. We've got a little bit more work to do. We're waiting for some dang rain so we can get the final pack down on some of that. So we
Monday
can
night.
see where the low spots are.
Mhm.
We have some sand waiting in the wing just in case. Everything else, bathrooms all started up fine. We found the damn water leak. We got that fixed. That was a miracle. We got a phone call at 1:30 at night that there was, the parking lot was getting flooded.
Mm.
I flew up there, it was bubbling out of the ground like Texas State. And we had to dig down, about 4.5, almost 5 feet, found the water line was separated right underneath the sidewalk. Perfectly underneath the sidewalk.
That why the slab's gone then?
Yeah. The next day I went down to DPW, borrowed a slab saw, cut the section out. They came and got rid of it for me. We dug it down with the backhoe. And got it fixed properly this time.
What happened? It just split?
No, it was just a bad joint. It slipped out. It was, my personal opinion, wrong material and wrong fitting. The fitting was a truck couple. It wasn't extended. We only had about 1.5 inches of meat with two bands. That should have been a deep throat coupling. There's a safety device of stainless steel that goes on there that goes from one side to the other, so it doesn't give the ability to even pull. But DPW ended up putting on 2 compression couplers. Better, but they were some serious money. Concrete's gonna have to get replaced. Luckily, I got a little shenanigan going. I got an outfit that's gonna be pouring down the road up in the near future, and well, maybe we'll tail hook some concrete off it and get it done. But right now, it's just stop or stop.
Hopefully not $5,000 again.
No,
Okay,
no, that one there was like almost 3 times the size. Maybe
okay,
2 times the size.
all right, that's good.
But I got a hold, and it looks like I'm gonna end up going before the finance committee and get some emergency funding. So that'll come out of that.
Question, when was it or how was it discovered that the 90-foot fence is too short?
When I measured it.
What 90-foot fence?
The
The baseball or softball?
Baseball, it's only 190 footer. That's the big baseball field. You have a 90, you have a 70, you have a softball field and a T-ball. That's and you have the 90 is the big field. The fence that's a little bit too shallow in. I can remember that one. I measured it last year, so it's either 15 or 20 feet short. And the softball field is almost 30 feet short. But I got approached by a buddy of mine a few weeks back, and he knew I was working with another guy who's done a lot of projects around town. He wants to get involved in a project in his company. And it looks like if it's okay with you guys, that we're gonna get the fence pulled, move back as far as we can. Looks like about 20 feet. We may have to nip a piece of sidewalk. Now, what I mean by that is if you look out at the far end of
This is on the baseball field you're talking?
softball field,
Softball.
field, yeah. Nothing we can do about the baseball field right now. That's way too big a fence move. That would be huge bucks.
It's still regulation for high school, I believe, because the high school's been playing there for several years.
The kind of, one thing that's nice about baseball, I think you know also, is that fence and height. And you can make, there's a variable, I haven't found it actually written out, but I've heard it through people like Dave and whatnot, that if a fence is too far in, but if it's a higher height, it compensates for the distance.
Yeah,
And because we have a 6-foot fence instead of a 4-foot fence, I think that's what allows them to play.
right, that you can do the math that way, yeah, yeah,
So that's good.
but not for softball.
The other problem, Dave, on the field, I believe that they swung the arc from the wrong place. I think they did it from home plate instead of the pitcher's mound.
Yeah. So the nice thing is that if you look in the third base line all the way down to the foul pole line, you've got a tree and an island in the walkway. So it does a Y. So the concrete comes this way and then goes this way and then ties back in here, so you have a triangle. Okay, you nip this triangle piece out with a saw, cut, remove that concrete. You can cantilever that last corner and then start a fence line in and then carry it out. I can add over 20 feet to that field. And it won't interfere with any trees or anything. The only thing I'm worried about is where that septic tank might be out there. So I have to dig into that a little bit more. But they're gonna come in and the infield, where the infield line meets the outfield is 10 to 13 feet off.
I saw you already had it marked out.
Are you sorry? Because I went through it and measured every nook, crack and cranny of that. And that's gonna get cut back. We're gonna well, we have the sprinkler lines will just have to get relocated, it's just plastic. And from what I found everywhere else, it's only about a foot underground. With plastic pipe, I can fix that easily. And so we'll take care of that. And so we'll push the infield out. They're gonna bring in two giant, John's Trucking is gonna donate 2 giant truckloads of sand, of tri-mix, baseball sand, and refill the field. We're gonna lose that big giant freaking hump that's been bothering me. I have hump issues. And so that field will be, Elms College next year will be going, oh yeah.
All right, so we have to remember to reach out to them next year,
Mhm.
as soon as we get that done.
And it's not gonna cost us a penny. The only thing we gotta kick in is that gonna need a little help taking the chain link fence down. And then once the poles are really planted, putting it back up. And then after that, we might have to add 1 pole in a section on each end. Because when you push the circumference out, you shorten it. So we're gonna end up being 10 feet or so, maybe a little bit more, depending on where it ends up laying out. On each end, where we pick up the foul poles.
And when do you plan on doing this?
Probably as soon as we can. Yeah.
Don't forget you have a league playing Sundays.
Yeah, there's high school games scheduled too.
Yes.
He knows, he's got the
Well, once we
schedule.
finish nailing it all down, there's still a couple of balls spinning in the air.
Yeah,
So once we get the balls finished spinning out, you might have to get a word out to everybody, maybe one weekend, and it might get in the way, because I don't know how long it's gonna take. I know doing it myself to the 90, it took me quite a while. But I had a manual machine, I didn't have one attached to a motor.
right,
But he does have the schedule on SharePoint that he looks at all the time, so
okay.
he knows when the games are.
Anything else?
That's it, just give me the go ahead to get the ball rolling, and we'll send it in the right direction, get a timeline together. And go from there.
One other thing on the park, we got good news back from Rob Levesque with the state. They said we can treat the water that comes off of the spray park just like any other runoff. And
beautiful.
he's now exploring whether we can just put it into our existing detention pond.
The retention pond
Same-
right at the end of the parking lot,
The one at the bottom of the hill.
nice.
It handles the parking lot. But obviously, maybe it's not obvious, but we won't be using it when we're using it, because if it's rain, probably won't have any action in the spray park. But he's looking into that in terms of, he designed it, so he's gonna be able to evaluate the capacity. And I'm pretty sure that'll handle it. If not, we can just do another detention or infiltration system, either one. So it's gonna be a lot easier than trying to treat it as effluent.
Well, that's good then.
That would make it easier. One other thing about up there also, the Gators having an issue. It's got a slight leak in the radiation of the cooling system, but that's manageable. It's very, very minimal. But if you don't stay on it, it creates a bucking problem. But the charging system is intermittent. We took off the regulator, replaced the regulator. That was $40. And it could be the stator. And I'm hoping that's not the case. So far, since we put the regulator on, it's evened out, but it's still, it did it one other time after that. And we popped a new battery in already. And we ran just off the battery till it killed it. That's when I realized the charging system was shot. We're gonna keep my eye on that, see what we're gonna do. If I have to, I'll have to get a stator and change it myself. Have you thought any more about that lower field? I gave you a suggestion about flag football.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll set it up unless we get somebody that comes to us and is interested or expresses interest in that.
We gotta put it out there and see if anybody is.
Interested in what, Dave? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, that lower field, John? Remember
Yeah.
last meeting, we talked about possibly flag football down there? It's a flag football, including the end zone, is a 70 by 50-foot painted field. So all we need to do is mow it and paint lines on it, and they can use it as flag football. Oh, that was a suggestion.
Do you know anybody that does the flag football or has
Oh, I see it
flag
online,
football?
all the time, yeah. I don't play, I'm getting too old.
I used to play, I am too old.
So a couple questions. One, when you said you're gonna go in front of the finance committee for emergency funds, specifically, what are you asking for? For what stuff?
Money to pay for the concrete.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was anything else you were including in that.
No, just
Okay.
fix that we had to make.
Okay. And then in reviewing this with the baseball field infield mix installation, so this was the money that we asked for,
9,600,
over the
yeah.
summer?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
By
right.
the time the work on the field got done, and
Mhm.
the way the weather changed, they closed that plant down and made us wait. It's only manufactured certain times of the year,
Okay.
hard to get, but now I found out that John Trucking says he can get it. And that's nice to know. That's a
And
lot-
where's that out of?
Pardon?
Where's that out of? Just curious.
John Trucking's on
Yeah.
Westfield,
Oh, okay. Just curious.
but they have access to it. I don't know if they blend it themselves or if they go out and get it.
Mhm.
And the last batch came from Franklin.
Okay. All right. Anything else for Wally Park?
Do you have a rough amount what it would cost to get down the lower field all done? Like grass and aerate and everything else?
That would be if we decide to do number to figure out that, it's gonna have to be all overseeded. Some of the monies that I had set aside for replenishment, I just purchased $1,000 of seed. And wait for that to come in. And then that's when we'll determine where we're gonna put it. Cause even that's not gonna be nowhere near enough what we really need.
Yeah,
But I did manage to sneak in there a week and a half ago, and I went and got some grass seed and I overseeded that area where it was all chewed up on the soccer field. I'm hoping some guy gave us a little gift and it'll grow. Cause it did pretty bare in there where that big patch of crabgrass was.
the soccer just using the field in this month still, or were they doing it May and June at all?
Just April.
So maybe we don't have it rented out for May and June, maybe right after the end of April, anything that's gotta be reseeded on the soccer field gets done then?
You just trying to make me happy.
No, that's why I checked, cause I remember it was just April, but
Mhm.
It's looking beautiful up there. Mark went in there and he's been thatching the shit out of it to the point where he broke the thatcher. It's in my back of my truck. I gotta weld it when I get home.
Mhm.
And, but it's doing a great job. It's really making it look good. Pop it in, then once he does it, he goes over with the mower with the bagger
yeah,
and cleans all that stuff right up and out of there and takes it and dumps it. So we get a real aerator going in there. That'll make a big difference. We start getting nutrients and moisture into the root base. That place should really start to function. They started opening up the sprinkler systems. I was up there with him the other day.
Did we get did an application go down yet for, the park at all?
Nope, not yet.
No, just curious.
What was the other thing? Oh, Jesus. I was just thinking about it. And that's between me and we just out there with the sprinklers.
You said some were opened up. Opening up and more needed to be, or it need to be finished.
Yeah, they're opening all that, oh, that was at the bathrooms. Ah, damn. Gotta get the bathrooms.
Mhm.
Everything worked perfect. No leaks, no nothing.
Oh, good.
Winterization was really like, we put a thing together and did it a different way. And
Excuse me.
tested water, when we air tested everything up to 70 PSI, not a single pop. Everything was
that's good.
beautiful, no repairs. Last year, there was average 9 per bathroom.
Nice. Anything else?
That's it. All I got, unless you got some questions.
No? Think I have mine answered.
Oh, I'm all set.
Good. All right.
Perfect. Cause I told my wife to be home till 7:30, I could spend more time on my motorcycle.
There you
Right
go.
around for a half an hour.
Thanks,
Have a good
Dave.
night, folks.
Thank you
Thank
for
you, Dave.
coming. Appreciate it. Alrighty. On to our next line item would be.
Sorry, throwing my pen at you.
It's like, whoa,
Real.
rail trail.
Yep.
Okay,
April 22nd, the Boy Scouts are gonna be doing all the installation of everything. I was gonna see Cindy if you could put something on the Park and Rec page or the
The Facebook page?
Yeah, either just to let people know on that Saturday, the 22nd, there'll be Boy Scouts out there along with probably the gator type things to move materials and the mile markers around. They plan on starting at 8 in the morning.
okay. Sure, I can do that. No
I
problem.
invited Sean, the Boy Scout, to come and tell us his plans tonight, but I didn't hear back from him. I met him last Saturday down at the trail. I had Dig Safe out there the week before to mark everything out, and him and one of the troop leaders decided to do a test hole in the area that wasn't marked. So I sent the troop leader a note and just to let him know that it's very important to stay where everything was marked and flagged.
Uh-huh,
Because on Feeding Hills Road, I guess there was a main gas line, a small gas line, and fiber optic cables and phone and cable lines running through. And he dug about 5 feet off of where I had it marked, like right near everything. So I just emphasized they have to stay where everything is
Uh-huh.
marked.
right.
And that's on the 22nd. This is the actual installation of
They were the granite mile markers and the bicycle repair station. They were
Okay.
hoping to do everything that day,
Yeah.
but kind of depended how much help he has.
And he's enlisting, some of the other Boy Scouts.
Boy
to help
Scouts
him,
and troop leaders and
family or
fathers, I
whatever.
guess, or whoever he can get to volunteer.
Okay. All right, anything else?
We did have the trees cut down. I
That was
think
part
I
of,
brought that, I don't know if I brought
was
that up.
part of that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
okay.
$2,000 bill, but that
Mhm.
was only from the Suffield line up through, Depot Street, freezing through there. But I guess we had that snow right after it and that took down quite a few on,
Yeah, David was busy out there for a little while.
yeah, from Sam West Road down to the Westfield line. It took a fair amount of them down. And I called DPW or emailed DPW again. Carl sent him something when I spoke with him last month. And guys said he'd be out there mid to the late March, and the last week of March, I sent him another email and CC'd Carl and never heard anything back from anybody.
That's for the arm.
Or the arm again for the 3rd year in a row.
What do you
So-
suggest?
I don't know. I figured talking with Carl would get something done. I
Mhm.
probably, I'll see Doug Motlin again next week, so I think I'll have to talk to him a little bit too with the master plan meeting.
I would email Carl again.
Yeah, I copied him on that, so I'll probably just keep doing it every week until something
Mhm.
happens. Well, I told him I didn't need the whole trail done. I was hoping to get a third of it from
Something, right?
Feeding Hills Road down to Westfield Line, which is the worst. So I'll send him something again. But other than that, I have nothing else in the trail.
So the mile markers, where is, I have a
The
senior,
mile
a
markers,
senior asked this question, where are you starting the number one? Is it?
well, there's actually
Suffield?
a number 0 that
Okay.
starts at the Suffield line.
So 0 starts at Suffield and comes down to Southwick.
And like the number
Okay.
1 marker is close to the Miller Road kiosk. And then it's goes down to 6 is on the Westfield line.
Okay.
The bicycle repair stations will be. I picked it out towards the end of Miller Road, but I'm not sure if they were gonna try to put it closer to the kiosk. I mean, they kind of left it up to me to decide, and I figured that would be less vandalism having it there.
Mhm.
And that's where I had the dig safe people mark out, but they dug down the other spot and I told them, you know, if you wanna hear, your call and dig safe and taking care of it.
Right.
And the other repair station will be on, Feeding Hills Road. There's a house across the street and there's also a neighbor next door that seems like he keeps a good eye on the property because he usually comes out as soon as I pull in there.
And that's by where we keep the porta potty, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
in that area.
Yeah, it's
That's where all
probably,
that was
probably,
marked off.
yeah, it's probably 25 feet from there, but there's flags everywhere and through there.
Mhm. Well, thanks for doing all that.
Yeah, I had a
You know,
lot of phone calls. I ended up having to answer random mass numbers, which I usually don't do, so I ended up getting a few telemarketers along the way.
oh, with the dig safe,
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it was just like
yep.
calls from Boston and Worcester and everywhere
Yeah.
else.
Mhm.
Mhm. Potential spam. Maybe not.
Well, I figured I'd better answer them,
Right,
because it was only during the 3 days where I had to get
Yeah.
the calls.
yeah.
And we had something else on the grant there.
So you guys had asked me to reach out to Andy, so I did. And he didn't get too far. It's kind of piecemeal with where it is. And I guess I haven't looked at the grant, but, it's only an 80% reimbursement, so they don't give you the grant to spend the money. The town has to set aside the money.
Yeah, we did that
And
once.
You get it
before.
only an 80% reimbursement, so we'll have to get the town to put in 20% of it.
Have to go to the finance committee.
Yeah,
I did tell him that.
yeah, so it's kind of, this is the worst time to do that right now, because the budgets are already in, like, it's already happening, so. He was gonna set up a meeting with John Goddard for planning. And I told him to just let me know when that meeting was, and I'd be happy to sit in on it and try to figure out where he's at, what he has, what
I
it looks
think
like.
Somebody from the board should actually be involved in this. I don't think he should be taking the lead on it.
No, I
Seeing he's
tried
not
to
on the
tell
Park
him
and
that,
Rec. Well,
yeah,
I'm gonna see him next Saturday also, and but I think we should send him an email clarifying this. Cause I think somebody on the board should be
yeah.
leading this.
Well, because you guys really sign off on it. I was just trying to get a handle on what he's done and what,
Well, I think we should be handling all the design work and,
mhm,
or dealing with somebody for the design work. I don't think somebody from the Conservation Commission should be
yeah.
dealing with this. And I think we should probably send him an email just to clarify this, and I'll talk to him when I see him next Saturday also.
Yeah, he's got the stuff, so I was just trying to get my eyes on it to help you with
But-
that,
Okay,
so,
but I'll talk to him, but I think we should send an email and just clarify it with him if you or Eric could do that.
mhm. I have told him very clearly that we were going to do it, and he could help with it. So,
But I mean,
Um,
I don't think it's gonna be cheap to get design work itself done.
it absolutely isn't, in the reimbursement part of it, it's gotta go before the select board at some point, and like setting aside money, and it was an interesting conversation. I'm still trying to wrap my arms around it to try to help you guys more than anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
this was a project that wasn't supposed to involve us at all, and now it is, so, or involve you
Yeah,
guys.
I realize that, and I mean, just doing an emergency access was one thing, if it was all
Mhm.
gonna be self-funded. But now I think we gotta see if we have to have an ADA ramp and everything in it, or we could
You're
get by.
definitely gonna have to. I think it's
Even
by
if we
law.
Have something on Miller Road, well, that's something,
I think you have to by law,
Anything new has to,
I'm pretty sure. And that was one of the,
yeah, so that's not gonna
Was one
be
of the
cheap,
big
and I mean, the
things.
design work for it, somebody's gotta pay for it, but we don't have, I don't think.
well, you can do things like. We could always approach the CPC about getting funds to pay for a design, right, John?
Yeah,
I thought the
So-
CBC doesn't do design.
You would, well,
Am I-
somebody else did it for, who did it
we
for,
can pay for designs if it's recreational.
yeah, it
Oh,
falls under
okay.
that category because somebody
Okay.
else, somebody did it for housing. They came to us and requested, I think it was like 25,000 for a study to be done.
Okay,
Like the
okay.
needs and blah, blah, blah. So I would think that creatively you do an application, we can go over how there's a whole flow chart. But it would fall under recreation definitely. So you
Mhm,
got
mhm.
that. So that's pretty
That's-
much half
yeah.
your battle. And then we could see what the fee would be for someone to do the design. And then we could go from there.
Yeah.
Is
So what
that-
do you want me to do? Do you want me to email Andy, and do you want me to try to have that meeting so I could see? None of us have seen what he has, so. If
Did he
you,
say he had anything, or did
it,
he?
it was, I have this, I have that, I have parts of this, I have parts of that, I need to talk to John. So I was just. And I haven't heard from him. I mean, this was last week when I actually spoke to him.
I
Tell me
truthfully,
what
my
you want me to
feeling
do, I
is-
don't
Yeah,
care.
my
Like,
feeling on it is we should be taking the lead on it. I mean. Cause it's not like a small project. It's not like he's just getting the emergency access money together thing.
mhm.
That's just my feeling on it. I'm not sure. What anybody else thinks about that. But I mean, I think being a park and rec thing, we should be taking the lead on it or having some supervision over it. I don't feel comfortable, this is my feeling, I don't feel comfortable if he comes back and starts paying, gets a grant for doing design work and paying for it, and we find out, yeah, it's gonna be $120,000 project that we gotta pay for, and then we have to go to the finance committee for it. I mean, I would feel more comfortable knowing what's going on and being part of it, and then going to the finance committee, rather than having everything done and go to the
It's not a
finance.
small project, it's a huge project.
No,
Not
yeah,
at all.
I think, and again, this grant is new to me, but I think you have to get the town to put the money aside before
Yeah.
you can do anything.
Well, you
Like-
at least have to get the approval that the town will, and I'm looking.
Do the 20%. So I didn't, I was unaware of that piece of
Before we
it.
apply
So
for
I
it.
think the grant comes from from Park and Rec. Cause that's what you decided last time, was to not have it come from him, right?
Yeah,
Is to have it come from Park and Rec.
yeah, I think it should be coming from us.
But I think, and John, maybe you know more than I do about this. You have to ask the town to set aside the money first, if I'm correct, because if you don't get commitment from the town, we have a $20,000 bill for design and we can't pay it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, if we could get, say, go to the CPC for design work, part of this thing with the grant is already having everything planned out. I mean, you can't apply for the grant and say, we're gonna do this emergency access and handicap access or disabled access and not have any kind of plans. You gotta have the plans and then apply for it and get the money from the finance committee, but I think we should be getting the design work thing taken care of first. At
Yeah, I
least
think,
that's-
we should make an application to the CPC to pay for the design work and get that done, because until it's designed, you have no idea, or nobody has any idea what it'll cost.
Okay,
There's a lot of
Yeah, I-
excavation work, there's
Oh, yeah.
fences to
Mhm.
be involved, there's railings, there's all sorts of things that have to be involved. And
So do you want
once you
me to
have
do
that,
that?
then you can go out and apply for a grant and get bids on doing the project. But until you have plans, you can't get bids from anyone.
okay.
John, who do you think we should see for the design work part itself?
Well, Vec's the only one in the business these days. And he'd be motivated because he loves recreation stuff.
So how much do you want me to do the grant? Do you want me to do the CPC application?
Well,
And when do you want me to do that? I mean, just tell me what to do.
I,
Or not.
give me another month, I think we should like figure
Okay.
out, I can talk to John Goddard also, I'll see him at the
Okay.
master plan thing.
Okay,
Maybe he'll have a rough idea on the money, I don't wanna like, just pick a number out of the air.
yeah,
and
yeah. I
write
have
it
no
off
idea.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
I'll talk to Levesque, and John should have a real good idea too, because he's been involved in those projects.
Yeah, just to get an idea on numbers,
Yeah. We need that for sure.
yeah, so maybe next month I'll have something.
Yeah,
for
I'm
you.
just trying to get clear with Andy what to do next, so.
I think we just let them know that we wanna take the lead and everything.
I already told him that, yeah,
Okay.
but I will put it in
Did
writing.
you- Okay, I think.
I will,
that's-
yep.
I would like to, I would like to forward you some stuff that I found, on mass.gov about shared street and spaces grant.
I just got something on that today too,
Oh,
from Dick Renels.
oh,
Could you forward that to me?
Yeah, I didn't even look at it yet, I just
I
saw
have to
it.
be
I just,
included in the email.
yeah, okay,
But, so I reached out to these people because they didn't have an active application. It was from like, I want to say it might have been 2022. So I was trying to figure out when they were gonna open it up again. I'd say open enrollment, but for lack of better words. And they emailed me back because what I was initially thought would be for a parking lot for, somewhere for the rail trail.
I think that's the one I looked at for adding more spaces down
Yeah.
on Miller Road. but
And it said, so I might have used my words wrong, so when I said parking lot, they're like, well, that's not quite what we do, but I think if we read this over and look at this,
Mhm.
we may be able to get some funding and, apply some things.
Okay.
So, but again, keeping in mind that they haven't opened it up to any type of application yet, but at least maybe if I read more or any of us reads more and just sees where, is my project eligible kind of thing, we can
Mhm.
possibly use this as well.
That's the one they kind of wanted you to tie in like bike lanes to
Mhm.
businesses and that. kind
Yeah,
of thing.
mhm.
That's
But
why
then-
I
but-
didn't think it applied down at Miller Road.
Yeah, and I don't know, I read some of it, I was in a hurry and I just was like, hey.
It might there being that close to the Rail Trail Ale House and giving it access.
Yeah,
That'd be interesting, yeah.
so,
to some of the other businesses going down the road there.
yeah. But at least if you can play it right, you can say, that's would be the access to those businesses. Right? I mean, because literally it is, it
Yeah.
would be.
But I figured on Miller Road, I couldn't
Right.
find anything to
Right.
justify it after
Yeah.
I started going through the grant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can be very specific sometimes.
And there's also another one it says to go to, so complete streets funding program, so, provides safe and accessible options for all travel modes, walking, biking, transit vehicles for people of all ages and abilities, so that could be something that we could fall under, and maybe we don't get money from one's funding source, we can get it from a few. But that is a lot, I mean, that does require a lot of research and,
reading and things like that, so. Yeah, so we could look into those things. And that's all on the mass.gov.
Can I ask a CPC question? Anything that goes from CPC has to be approved at town meeting?
Right.
So if there was a special town meeting in the fall, could the design work get approved?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if it had to be a annual town meeting, if it could be a special. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
yeah, no, it can be, as long as
Okay,
you're
I didn't
aware
know.
that there's
That
gonna
was
be a
just a
special
question.
town meeting.
No, but I always
Oh.
assume there will be in the fall.
It usually
depends.
is.
Yeah, it really depends, so.
Yeah.
If they have a reason to have one, they will, so maybe,
Correct, they don't like to have them if
right,
there isn't something really big on the agenda.
I know. But it was just for knowledge
But
only.
it is good to
It was
know.
only for knowledge.
'Cause then, but again, we always think of these like things like hindsight, so. Now you think about it, even if there isn't a special town meeting, now that throws us to next year's
Next year, right,
May.
which
Of
has us miss
town
the
meeting.
February deadline again for this grant,
Well,
maybe, potentially.
yeah.
Well,
Get
we
it
could
in.
always go to the finance committee first and get money approved for that and maybe get reimbursed if we had to.
That's what this other grant is a reimbursement only, you have to
Yeah.
pay it first.
But I'm saying if we get money from the finance committee.
Correct, yeah, I
for the
hear you,
design
yep,
work and some of that comes back.
yep, gotcha. Okay. That was my update.
Okay. Beach. Updates?
So, Kara and I interviewed 4 people for the beach, so I think right now we're at 6 or 7 employees. Which is great, we might need 1 or 2 more depending on schedules, always, vacations are always the issue. The beach is open for such a small amount of time that, it really depends, so there is a lifeguard training in May. And we're still waiting to hear from Maura whether she's gonna do a special training at the beach. It worked out really well last
Yeah.
year and Kara said they've done it before, so. We're hoping that she will actually do that in June, so it gives us a little more time if we need to hire another employee. But I think we're on track
Sounds good.
to do that. I think that's it with the beach for now. It's only April. Next month will
Well,
be,
that's good.
yeah,
It'll be here before we know it.
yep.
Okay, we can move on to the Old Town Beach and the debris on town property.
So I redid the letter
Mhm.
and took your name off of it and at the bottom put Southwick Park and Rec Commission. I put, it has come to our attention, you may be disposing of your yard debris on town property. And I put the address, we are asking you to remove this debris as soon as possible and not to place any more debris in this location. We also understand that there is fencing that has been taken down and we are requesting this to be fixed at your expense. If you have any questions, please contact the Park and Rec. And I wrote our phone number and just put best regards, Southwick Park and Rec Commissioners, as opposed to any name.
I think you should put Kara's name on it since she's not here.
Yeah. I would be happy to do that. I can sneak your signature on it too. So do you want us to send that?
Yeah, I
Out?
think we should.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think everybody got the pictures.
yeah, after what Dave sent, it seemed a little
Yeah.
concerning to me.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
Thank you, good word.
Do you want to do a vote so it's official that we can send this letter, or you don't have to put the address just to the resident, unless you want to say the address, but.
Okay,
I'll make a motion
Thank
to
you.
send the letter out to the person whose house it is
Mhm.
with all the wood debris on it.
okay,
Motion.
okay. Dave DeGloria motions, Rick.
I'll
Harriman
second it.
Motion, John third the motion, to approve the letter to be sent to, the Berkshire Ave
Oh.
residents, at our request to, stop, dumping debris. We'll take a vote. I will start with myself. Jeannie Reed, aye.
David DeLaurie, aye.
Chairman, I.
Thank you.
John Wally, aye.
Thank you. Unanimous vote to send the letter as, just read and approved. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Was that it for that?
Yep,
Okay. Okay, on to various programs.
they really, I mean, there isn't anything new, just the grants and stuff that are coming up.
Yep, which you already have approved. You told us before, so that's
Yep.
all in
Yep,
line.
there's
Okay,
4
cool.
different ones and the Easter egg hunt went
As well as.
as well it could have. I mean, it couldn't have,
And then
right?
the sun came out as soon as we were done.
Yeah. I know,
Oh, wait,
later.
we started half hour early.
Oh, we
Yeah,
did.
according to one
Yeah.
person, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think we modified it and people who were there were happy and
They
everyone
were.
left and
Yep.
it was,
They
ended
were.
up being a beautiful afternoon after
did.
the pouring rain.
Right,
But
but it was all done, so.
yeah, I think it was fine.
All right.
Yep.
Does the Rotary have concerts going again this year or?
Yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And,
yep, they start in the week after 4th of July.
okay. I knew they,
So like
So-
the 11th or 12th, I think, every Wednesday. Yeah, the schedule just came out. I mean, they had booked it a long time ago, but yeah.
yeah, when it come out last week or something.
Mhm.
So the first one is, excuse me, sorry, guys, July 12th is the first one. So when we have a meeting, feel free to, we'll have it in the,
Have it up there.
up there.
Okay,
Since half the time I miss them because we have a
that's
meeting.
fine. Yeah, yeah.
Or I'm running to it late and I like to go to them. So we'll talk about it. later.
Yeah,
Okay, and then,
For the Easter egg hunt, I just
Yeah.
want to point out, Dave did something really cool. And I think we should try to keep doing this when we do. Some little kids are behind just a 6-month older kid. And they go for it and one kid has 18 eggs and the other one has 1. Dave pointed out right before you guys kicked it off, slip a couple eggs in our pockets.
I
And we
did
saw
it.
little
Yeah.
kids.
yep,
And I had parents coming up to me afterwards saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was like,
Yeah.
it's his idea, so
yeah,
I think if we all did it, right, it would
Yep.
help out some of the little kids that didn't.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that
They're
is a good
faster.
idea. Yeah, and usually we keep a stash too.
Yeah,
So whatever was floating in the bottom of the box,
mhm.
that the eggs
Yeah,
were
yeah.
broken, I was like trying to shove them real quick to back together
Yeah,
for the same thing, or
It
the
was
kid who
getting-
came late.
yeah.
I did give the kid who came late a bunch.
Okay,
He was appreciative and,
got
Yeah.
that mom off here.
yeah, it's her, the
Even
mom
they,
was
they
more
probably went to
mad
the
than-
Easter egg hunt the next day and
They
got
probably
more.
did. They probably went to the one down the road that
The one that they
started
were
at.
wrong, that started at 11:30.
All of Easter egg hunts.
She's
Right.
driving by, that's the one that
Yeah,
started at
right.
11:30. And one thing I want to comment on, because we are on April 12th, and I always say it every year. We need to figure out a plan, what we're gonna do with parking for, nationals.
Yes, when is national?
July
9th.
9th, I think.
Yeah, okay.
So you wanted signs that said $20, right? I
I-
put some,
I think we should, like, so we can have them right at the entrance.
okay.
Yeah.
How many
So
do
we
you
can work
want?
on
I was
getting
gonna
those
get
made up.
4. Is that too many? Is that not enough?
I
Is
think if
that?
we have 2, like, well, like the billboard or the T-shaped signs,
It's the sandwich signs.
sandwich signs.
Yeah, those. You mean with the letters that go across?
What do you mean go across?
It's just.
Yeah,
TP.
and it says it-
Thing on there.
Yeah, that's a good.
The
TP.
yeah, I know what you're talking about, but. Yeah, okay.
You just say event, $20. You don't have to put motocross.
Yeah,
And then we. could
Like
use-
event parking,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, event
Okay.
parking.
TP.
So, I don't know, just think of, what's it called, national? Just start thinking about ideas. I really would like to see if we can get, we can do shifts so that people aren't stuck there all day. And possibly, I know we say volunteers, but we usually don't get too many, and, also think about maybe a ticket to the race. Or, you know, outright paying somebody a flat fee for parking 4 hours, you can make this amount of money, boom. We do that. So it's,
Last year, we were pretty much done parking by 1 o'clock. I mean, if we go 7 to whenever, most of the traffic was in early.
Yeah, the year before it was the same.
July 8th, it is,
Oh, it's a Saturday, right?
yeah, July 8th.
Did you want me to reach out to the cross-country coach again and see about the students
Yeah.
coming?
We can, that, I know we always talk about National Honor Society, but I know it's hard, it's July 8th, that's in the middle of the
July, yeah,
summer, kids
yeah.
aren't thinking about trying to do community service while they're thinking about going to the beach, I know I wouldn't be. But, I mean, even on posting something on Facebook, you never know who may just say, hey, I'd like to stand up there and listen to the crowd for a couple hours, or volunteer because I like Wally Park. I know I'm stretching it, but you never know, you could reach 1 or 2 people that are willing to help out. We could do that. And we can just start posting that, in preparation for it coming, the event
Yep.
coming. And then we just do reminders, keep it in the feed. People will share it, share with your friends. And then maybe if we come up with a brilliant plan, we can add it to the post, that kind of thing. Just something to think about. Yep.
We should discuss it again next meeting too.
Yes, I think we should. So
Definitely.
we can put it on the agenda for next meeting, and we'll just keep it on there, just for updates. Somebody's coming up with a brainstorm, anything.
Challenge everyone to come up with an idea.
Sure,
Homework?
homework. Okay, and anything else for new business? Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, John
Second.
Rowley, Dave DeDelore, second. All in favor to adjourn the meeting?
Aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned unanimously at 7:30 PM.